Hello and welcome to today's book review. Today we will be reviewing Never Let Me Go. I have three special guests with me today, Louis Fennell, Jack Weimer and Marco Zoiter. And obviously...
Matthew Coleman,
who is not here yet. Now we will cut to the summariser, Marco Zoiter. And joining me now in the studio is Marco Zoiter, the summariser. Hello Marco, how are you doing today?
very good, thank you, Dom.
Would you now like to read from your passage of Never Let Me Go?
Summary of chapters 21 to 23. Kathy and Tommy go to Littlehampton to find Madame. They see her in a town and follow her to her home. Although she is shocked and uncomfortable to see them, she invites them inside. Kathy feels oddly intimate with Madame. Since the older woman is a figure from her past, and she explains that they have come to see her and apply for a deferral. Tommy adds that he believes why he knows Madame and had the gallery, and he explains that it was so authorities could discern whether two students were really in love. Kathy suddenly realises that someone else is in the room, listening to the conversation. She turns to see Miss Emily. She is now in a wheelchair. Miss Emily kindly welcomes Kathy and Tommy. She says that she is very proud of how they have grown into adults, and she apologises for Madame's
sour attitude.
She goes on to explain that the deferral rumours are not in fact true.
And she sincerely apologises that Kathy and Tommy
were misled.
Misled!
Miss Emily explains many of the unresolved mysteries about Hailsham. It turns out that Hailsham was considered a progressive place to raise clones, many of whom were kept in
deplorable conditions.
Deplorable conditions?
At other schools and holding centres. The purpose of having the students make art was to demonstrate to the public that they had souls and deserved to be treated humanly. Miss Emily and Madame became the leaders of a small but vocal movement advocating human treatment of clones, but it reached the peak of its influence in the 1970s and has been in decline ever since. She explains to them that Hailsham lost its funding due to something called
the Morningdale scandal.
A scientist named James Morningdale tried to create clones of superior intelligence, and when news of his work leaked, the public became very, very uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable
With
the idea that clones might somehow be superhuman. This indirectly led to the closing of Hailsham. Miss Emily tries to explain that Kathy and Tommy have already had much better lives than most clones, but Madame snaps that they will probably not be grateful for all the hard work that went into providing them with such a privileged youth. Miss Emily explains that Miss Lucy was fired from Hailsham for her different views about raising the children. Miss Lucy believed that the children should be informed of their origins and their futures as fully and honestly as possible. While Miss Emily believes that doing so would have prevented them from having happy childhoods, on the way back to the recovery centre, Tommy asks Kathy to pull over. He has a tantrum in a muddy field, just as he did as a child. After their trip to see Madame, Kathy and Tommy's relationship becomes slightly awkward and distant. However, they still talk about serious matters, including Tommy's fourth donation, which is coming up very soon. He is afraid that he will still be conscious after the fourth donation, with nothing to do except watch your remaining donations until they switch you off. Eventually, Tommy decides that he no longer wants Kathy to be his carer. His health is getting weaker and he does not want her to witness his gruesome final days. She bids him farewell as he goes to his fourth and final destination, in the present. Kathy meditates about how her memories are the only in her absolute life. A few weeks later, after Tommy completes, she drives to Norfolk to a field with some trees in it and imagines all the things that she did in her childhood, including Tommy, who will also appear in the field in her dream.
Absolutely amazing, Mark.
Thank you very much for being with me today.
Thank you, Dom.
And you will join me later for the conclusion.
Thank you, Dom.
Hello. Welcome back.
Welcome back. I'm the passage master and I will now read. And I will read you my three passages.
The first passage is from page 248. Because it would help show you what we were like, Tommy said. Because of course, Madame cut in suddenly. Your art will reveal your inner selves.
That is it, isn't it? That is it, isn't it?
Because your art will display your souls. As we can see from that, Madame only was collecting the art to tell if the candidates actually had souls and if their organs would be good enough for donations. I will now be reading my second passage from page 250. Because Madame's back was blocking the view, I couldn't see the person in the wheelchair, but then Madame steered it around to face us and said, "You speak to them. It's you they've come to speak to. I suppose it is." The figure in the wheelchair was frail and contorted, and it was the voice more than anything that helped me recognise her. "Miss Emily," Tommy said, quiet and softly.
Quiet and softly.
"You speak to them," Madame said, as though washing her hands of everything. But then she remained standing behind the wheelchair, her eyes blazing towards us.
Marky, you can't make me laugh!
This passage is very interesting.
Never let me go.
It tells us all about how Tommy is actually quite afraid of Miss Emily, quiet and softly, and although seeing her face again may have brought back bad memories, good memories, we can't tell. However, from this we can tell that Madame is completely mortified with the way that Tommy and Kathy have come to meet her in their hands through the quote, as though washing her hands of everything. It just shows that Madame was truly frightened of the candidates, as Ruth proved.
You should have kept going though, so it's not
"You speak to them," Madame said, as though washing her hands of everything, shows that she is actually quite mortified seeing these children, and it proves that Ruth was right, that Madame is actually scared of the children. I will now read my last passage from page 282, the final line of the book. I just waited a bit, then turned back to the car to drive off to wherever it was I was supposed to be. And that shows you, and it sums up the novel beautifully, that these children never really had an idea of what they were capable of. They never knew what they were going to do. They had aspirations for things that they couldn't do. And it was quite a sad novel to read. Yeah! Welcome back. I am now joined with all members of the discussion team, and Jack will now read his passage where he'll be questioning us on the book.
Okay, thank you, Dominic. Marco, if you could change the ending to anything you would like, what would you change it to?
I would change it so that Kathy is still Tommy's carer, and I'd like to see her live out her final moments with Tommy, as I think that would be quite an emotional ending.
Very nice
Yes, I
answer.
agree. Yes.
I'm in much
Well
agreement.
done.
Louis,
Yes.
why do you think the clones don't run away?
I believe that the clones did not run away because from early stage in their life they are taught not to run away. For example, when living in Hailsham, they say that the forest has dead people in it that have also tried to run away, and anyone that climbs out is automatically not allowed back in, and therefore they are scared.
Good answer.
Yes,
Very
I
good
agree.
answer.
Yeah.
I'm in much agreement.
I am in very much agreement.
What a great point.
Dominic, do you like
But ambiguity.
Dominic, do you like that the ending is not clear and is up to the reader to decide?
I, in fact, do like the fact
Of the ambiguity.
Maybe she passed.
3, 2, 1, go.
Dominic, do you like that the ending is not clear as we don't know what happens to Kathy?
I actually find it quite upsetting that the ending is not clear, as I'd like to know what happens to Kathy as she goes through her donations.
Very nice, very nice.
I agree.
Yes, me too.
Yes.
Hand sticking to her.
Matthew, why do you think there are so many unanswered questions in this novel?
I think there are so many unanswered questions because Kazuo Ishiguro wanted to leave it up to the reader's imagination on whatever happened.
That is a cracking answer, Matthew.
Thank you, Dom. Thank you, Marco.
Yes, I
Thank you,
agree.
Louis.
Yes.
Thank you for all of our influences. And now we will cut to Louis. I am now joined with Louis Fennell, the vocabulary reporter. Louis, you may now read your passage.
Okay, so I have been assigned the task of reading 3 different words out and making an excellent sentence for them. The first word is scrutiny, from page 249, paragraph 1. The sentence from the book states, I looked at Madame carefully, but she seemed to sense my scrutiny and she turned back to Tommy. The definition is, the act of examining something closely as for mistakes. The excellent sentence that our group has created for this is, his scrutiny came back to her face and he smiled. Word number 2, contorted, from page 250, paragraph 4. A sentence from the book states, the figure in the wheelchair was frail and contorted, and it was the voice more than anything that helped me recognise her. The definition of this word is twisted, especially in pain or struggle. Yes. The excellent sentence we have created for this word is her face contorted
Rage.
and her eyes blackened. The third word is deplorable, from page 255, paragraph 4. The sentence from the book, all around the country there were students in deplorable conditions. A definition of this word is a very poor quality or condition. And the excellent sentence that we have created is, after the assault, some deplorable excesses were committed by the victorious troops. Now, I am going to comment about this part of the book. I believe that this part of the book isn't very interesting, as a lot of it is about Kathy and Tommy accepting that they cannot get a deferral.
Thank you very much, Louis. And we will now cut to Matthew Coleman as the artistic flair. I am now joined with Matthew Coleman as the artistic flair.
Hello, I am the artistic flair. I have created this piece of work which shows Tommy at Hailsham and Tommy in a forest. The forest is from our section of the novel, and this is from the start of the novel.
It is a beautiful picture, Matthew. And thank you for creating it for us.
This shows how Tommy hasn't changed from the start of the novel to the end of the novel. Thank you for listening.
And
Goodbye.
We'll now come to our final scene, because we're not done yet, are we, Matthew?
No,
Outside. Thank you.
I love being outside.
Thank you for joining us today on the TCBRBs, the Christian Book Review Boys. We hope you had an amazing time, and I hope you come again soon. Thank you to Jack.
Thank you, Dominic.
Thank you to Marco.
Thank you, Dom.
Thank you to Louis. And of course, Matthew
You are
Coleman.
most welcome.
We'll see you in the next one.